Now, go back to Genesis 15:8-10. God gave you the symbol of a she goat of 3 years old, a heifer of 3 years old, a ram, a she goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years, and he gave you a turtle dove and a young pigeon. But if you notice, God didn't give you no symbol of no two doves. And he said to you that the dove and the pigeon was not divided. That means that the formula upon which they came down to be made a sacrifice, they would go back up in the same way because they was not, the time for one was not to be born at that specific time of the sacrifice. But yet they all three had to be slain in the format of 3 years. So you go to Deuteronomy, God called up the spirit of Moses. Go to Exodus chapter 2, Kings, uh, God called up the spirit of Elijah for a purpose. Not to just be done something, but for a purpose to create the symbols of this. But he could not catch up Moses and Elijah until the transformation be completed from the heifer of 3 years old, the she goat of 3 years, be made into a bullock and another secondary ram. If you go to Exodus chapter 29, you will see that these things was completed when God told Moses to take him a bullocks, young bullocks, and two rams. He let us know that after they had completed the formula in slavery 400 plus years, they had three males was in. There was two was going to be born cousin because of the same pedigree, because of the two rams. That means Jesus and John the Baptist was going to be cousins, symbolized by the two rams. But there was going to be one was going to be born of a bullock. He was not going to be kin to them, but he was going to be kin to them because they all had to come from the seed of Abraham, spoken of in Genesis chapter 12. He said through his seed the earth is going to be blessed. We had to be the blessings of the earth, even though myself and John the Baptist had no power to be made to sacrifice. Jesus was the only one, but we was made an attachment onto him, so we became a part of the daily sacrifice with Jesus because we was divided equally according to the formula that God gave Abraham in Genesis 15:8-10. But he let us know one was not going back. Jesus had to follow John the Baptist. John the Baptist was going to be beheaded first, but Jesus had to follow him and be crucified just like John the Baptist was crucified. He let us know that because as the bullocks and the two rams was called up and made a part of that, which was spoken of in Isaiah chapter 6, 1-3, when you see that three angels came along, all attached onto the same body to be born, spoken of in Isaiah chapter 7. But one was going to be born by himself, John the Baptist, spoken of in St. Luke, by the spirit of Elijah. And I was going to be born, I was the wings covering the feet, spoken of in Isaiah 6, 1-3. Couldn't be born because Jesus had to be born and crucified, but I was there to be a witness unto Jesus in the grave. Because men was going to lie and said Jesus was not the Son of God, so God made an attachment onto him to prepare the way for his birth and prepare the way for his return. So when John the Baptist was beheaded in St. Matthew chapter 17, I believe it is, they went up to, and Jesus himself was transfigured, and they saw Elijah and Moses standing talking with him. These was years, hundreds of years after Moses was caught up and Elijah was caught up. Well, God said, "This is my beloved Son. Believe in it." And a voice came from heaven. Well, who was all John the Baptist and myself was made an attachment onto Jesus. And Jesus, when he was crucified, I was yet an attachment on to him because Jesus, John the Baptist, the wing was covering the feet, supposed to be crucified first. The wings in the middle as the bow fly, supposed to be crucified second. But if my spirit was still attached onto Jesus, as the wing was signified this, as the wing coming to faith, these was the bullock that was made the part of the sacrifice by God himself. And as John the Baptist was born of his mother Elizabeth, I had nowhere to go, so I remained an attachment onto Jesus Christ when he went into the womb of Mary and was born as Jesus Christ. I was a part of that same flesh as Jesus was. They couldn't name Jesus Christ without naming me Jesus Christ, even though I didn't have any power to save the world. It was the Spirit of the living God which was given that power. But by me being an attachment made on to Jesus Christ, I was part of the exact same daily sacrifice. I was part of Jesus Christ, even unto the cross. Fulfilling the prophecy that God set before man. When he told Abraham to give me a heifer of 3 years old, a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, which signified the treading of the prophecy up here on earth. And as we went back unto God the Father, and to appointed time, upon my return, God sent me back, covering Isaiah chapter 6, 4-7, as a man born in the United States of America of having unclean lips, dwelling among peoples who had unclean lips. The house was firebombed through the doorposts. This is what I have been speaking to the people in prophecy. And all of this is matching up. Now, the reason I said this here, I want to refer you back to, but first, let me do this while it's on mine, if I have time. If God the Father was going to prove that his son was not the seed of a man, he attached the spirit onto the Spirit of God that needed the substance of a man to be born. And by me not being born and going to the grave with Jesus Christ, that means that Jesus could not have been the seed of a man. He had to become the seed of the living God because I would have been part of the prophecy. I've been either Siamese twin or twin with Jesus Christ.